Dr. Stone is an anime where 1 minute you can receive an in-depth scientific explanation of how to build a modern device from raw materials, and the next minute you can watch a man kill a lion with a punch to the face. It's a show that teaches science while simultaneously giving characters very unscientific superpowers. How can these two ideas work together in a show? And why does it work so well? These are the questions I'll answer in this video. Before I continue, I just want to note that this video will contain spoilers for seasons 1 and 2 of the Dr. Stone anime. To start, I want to give a quick summary of the science and superpowers dynamic of Dr. Stone. The main character, Senku, is essentially rebuilding humanity from the Stone Age after everyone was petrified for thousands of years, and only a few have broken out. He uses his encyclopedic knowledge of modern technology to build things like katanas, light bulbs, and even tanks far more quickly than would be possible otherwise. As he does so, the show explains the science behind each new device and how they work, from the raw materials to the finished product. At the same time, the characters themselves are anything but grounded in reality. Senku was able to keep time in his head for nearly 4,000 years. The main antagonist, Tsukasa, can punch through stone with a bare fist. Kaseki is such an amazing craftsman that he can make glass and metal parts faster and more precisely than any machine with zero modern training, and Ukyo can hear things perfectly at a far greater distance than a normal human. These are just a few examples. Most important characters have a highly specialized superhuman skill like this. There are 3 main points I want to make about the harmony between Dr. Stone's scientific premise and its characters' superpowers. Number 1, it actually helps with suspension of disbelief. Number 2, it raises the stakes. Number 3, it gives everyone a unique and vital role. And number 4, it speeds up the pace. Let's start with the way Dr. Stone's superpowers actually help with suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief is where you avoid applying too much logic to a work and just focus on experiencing it. In Dr. Stone, the main concept of the show, the building of modern technology through primitive means, is a very logical process. You combine certain materials to make others, then shape them into gadgets. However, at the same time, many of these devices wouldn't be realistically feasible to make. For example, it would be almost impossible to find certain raw materials at the right purities to make things like transistors. Doing things like building a steam-powered automobile and retrofitting it into a tank would take massively longer periods of time than the few days it takes in the anime, and it would require machine-like precision too. And there are other things that don't add up as well, like the fact that Ishigami Village, which is descended from astronauts who weren't petrified, speaks exactly the same Japanese as Senku 3,700 years later once he unpetrifies. You don't have to be a scientist yourself to tell that in real life, the science used in the show would not work nearly as effectively as it does. That's where the show's superpowers come in. When you have a high schooler with fists that can punch through anything, an acrobat whose jumps defy the laws of physics, or a magician/mentalist who can mimic anyone's voice almost perfectly, you're a lot less likely to nitpick on the science. Once you accept that every major character has an ability that far surpasses human limits, it's much easier to accept that they can make a working telephone or car in a short amount of time. The human strengths in the show also make up for the potential weaknesses in the built devices. For example, in reality, the sonic cannon that Senku builds would likely not be nearly as powerful as it appears. But you can accept Taiju screaming into it and blowing a squad of people away because you've already suspended your disbelief and accepted that he has inhuman levels of strength and tenacity. So while it seems initially counterintuitive to have unscientific abilities in this show, what that accomplishes is preventing people from thinking too logically about things. That way, the show's breakneck scientific advancements are easier to take at face value. Now it's time for point number 2, which is that superpowers in the show raise the stakes. Senku is armed with a vast amount of modern knowledge, able to create advanced weapons and technologies in a short period of time. Logically, he should immediately have the advantage and be able to swiftly defeat any antagonists. That's not the case though. Tsukasa's army, while lacking anything more than simple technology, is blessed with other powers that compensate. Senku's crowd have steel weapons, but Tsukasa and Hyoga have inhuman strength, reflexes, and fighting skills that could let them easily dominate all of Senku's allies in a direct physical fight. Additionally, Tsukasa has a journalist on his side who remembers everyone she's interviewed and can point out people with the best skills to unpetrify. And Ukyo nearly thwarts Senku's phone plans with his super hearing until he defects to the Kingdom of Science. The best part about Dr. Stone is that our heroes still struggle and nearly die on multiple occasions despite the fact that they have overwhelmingly better technology on their side. In fact, it's only because the other side also has unscientific superpowers that the show is as compelling as it is. If Tsukasa and his cohort were merely normal humans with above-average physical abilities, they would still be forced to submit far too easily by Senku. The show would lack a lot of its tension, conflict, and suspense as a result. Let's move on to point number 3, which is that Dr. Stone's superpowers give every character a unique and vital role. Much like the cast of Danganronpa, all of Dr. Stone's major characters are known for doing one specific thing extremely well. Tsukasa even has the Danganronpa-like title, the strongest high school primate. As a result, every character plays a unique role in advancing the story. Senku has the world's greatest memory and scientific knowledge, but he would be stuck without the brawn of Taiju, the ingenuity of Chrome, the manipulation of Gen, the master craftsmanship of Kaseki, or the stealth of Suika. While Senku is the star of the show, all of the side characters get some of the limelight because they make contributions that no one else could. I think Dr. Stone is very good compared to many other shonen shows when it comes to highlighting side characters and giving them moments to shine. In addition, Senku's main desire in the show is that he wants to save all of humanity, and he does everything he can to not let anyone die. While this is a rather cliché ideal you'll find in many other shows, it actually fits very well in Dr. Stone because Senku really cannot afford to have people die if he wants to achieve his dreams. Without even one of the members of his team, his progress would be slowed significantly, if not brought to a screeching halt, as would be the case if someone like Kaseki died. Dr. Stone's superpowers make everyone important and valued. And finally, we come to point number 4, which is that Dr. Stone's superpowers help speed up the pace of the show. This is something I alluded to in point number 1, but I thought it was distinctive enough to give it a little extra discussion. Without characters having superhuman abilities, each piece of progress would be far slower to attain, with every arc stretched out over years. That would make for a lot less exciting TV. In addition, Senku wants to advance science as much as possible, to the point where he can free everyone in the world from petrification. That ultimate goal would likely be impossible to achieve even in an entire lifetime under normal circumstances. It's only through the accelerated technological development brought about by characters' superpowers that Senku will likely be able to achieve that eventually. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing for more weekly content. I'm Matrix from Matrix A&M, Anime and More, and I hope you have a great day.